And welcome to episode 47 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean Ani, editor-in-chief of the site. And I'm joined by the editor of the gaming department, Joey Davidson.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
It's been a while since we've had you on the show.
I know it has been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, it's one of those situations, every so often when somebody asks where you are, and we have to explain to them how long it takes to review a 60-hour game.
It takes 60 hours. I don't
Exactly. Yes, that is, I know so many people tell me, oh man, that must be so awesome. Like, think about it. You have to sit down and play 60 hours, and you have to do it in a very short window of time.
All right. I mean, I love the job. It's awesome. It's fun, but it is not that easy. So.
Yeah. You poor guy having to play all those games.
Don't try to make light of my plight.
Well, so for this week, of course, we'll throw it open to questions later, but this is probably going to be Joey's only appearance prior to E3, and we'll have him on again post E3 to go over his thoughts. But so E3 is coming up in about a month. For people that have never been to E3, I know pretty much everyone knows what E3 is, but is it the gaming paradise that so many people think it is?
You know, I'm not really sure that I have a clear picture of what other people think it is. It didn't really line up with my expectations going into it when I attended my first one like 10 years ago, which is really depressing to think about out loud. But it back then I kind of expected this very silly convention that was basically just like a Comic-Con, but slightly more professional. It's not quite like that. It's a bit more professional than a Comic-Con, so it is. I don't know. It's totally work while I'm there, but I know other people who perceive it a little bit differently. I know our own Eric Fredrickson actually really enjoys it as not just a work thing, but he quite likes like the press conferences and stuff. And I personally am. I don't want to say I'm done with them, but the thrill is gone. You know what I mean? You just go, you listen to people talk a lot. There's a lot of talking, man. There's a lot of people standing in front of you with basically PowerPoint presentations and saying like, this game's going to be awesome. Let's run down the reasons why it's going to be so great in a really boring fashion. So
there was a time in the comic book industry where every year I would attend a retailer conference, and we were going through this period where everything was supposed to be dark and gritty.
Sure.
And so, you would also go to one-on-one presentations. They're like, well, in this book, it's going to be taking. Look at him and go, if you say dark and gritty,
dark and gritty is our post-apocalyptic, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like everything.
Everything was dark and gritty. So yeah, I'm sure you have the same sorts of buzzwords that get thrown at you time and time again.
Well, and it also depends on the year-by-year basis, and that's one thing that Eric and I actually just wrote an editorial on that's going to be going up on the site hopefully soon-ish. But
it's already scheduled, yeah.
Oh, okay. So today probably. We talk about some of the fads that come and go, and 3D was one of those fads. Like we couldn't go anywhere with E3 without getting like glasses thrown at us. Sony handed them out on the way into their press conference a couple of years back. That was the same year that I think. Do you guys remember, gosh, what was his name? The like fake spokesperson Sony had for a while. He was like the VP of Awesome and all that other stuff.
Oh, I can't remember his name, but then he got in trouble for appearing in an ad with a Nintendo
That
console.
Bridgestone tire commercial.
Yeah.
Where they were giving away a Wii U or a Wii or something. Yeah. Actually. God, I can't remember his name. Anyway, that was the year that he showed up at E3 and like gave part of their convention. So I don't know. I like it. I like the show a lot. It's fun. But maybe this will tell you I'm more excited about like going out to eat than anything else. But I think that's just me. I don't know. I'm kind of slowly turning into a food person. So
just so long as Aisha Tyler shows up and makes awkward jokes, during the
I'd rather her than Mr. Caffeine, dude.
Oh, good gravy. So I think for me the big question about E3 this year is so much of what was announced last year, which was supposed to be coming this year, has now been pushed back to 2016. So, do you think that we're going to see them talk about those titles again almost exclusively, or are they also going to add new titles on top of those?
Can you give me an example of one of these games that you're thinking of? I'm just trying to
Oh,
put myself.
I was trying to think of it before the show. I know a bunch of games have been pushed back to 2016, so take your pick of any one of them.
Like,
But I mean, we're going through this big delay cycle, and so I'm just wondering if the studios and the companies and publishers and all that want to put even more games on the plate when they've already got so many that are delayed.
you know, I would imagine that the focus is going to shift to the games that were delayed, but I think that both Sony and Microsoft are in a really weird position right now where they have to focus on what's coming this holiday. We've yet to see too much in the way of exclusive, like crazy balls to the wall titles that just one console can get. I think each console maybe has one or two of those games. Sony has Bloodborne on the PlayStation 4, which is doing really, really well. And Microsoft, I guess maybe to even a lesser extent, which is unfortunate, had Sunset Overdrive last year. Was that earlier this year? I can't even remember.
I think it was late last
year. It was late last year. Very cool game, but again, there's not been anything that's like, oh my God, I need to buy an Xbox One or I need to buy a PlayStation 4. And I think that right now, those console makers are going to be beating the drum and trying to make sure that we know that this holiday is going to be good. And so many of the delayed games have sort of put this holiday into jeopardy. But I still think it's going to be a good holiday, and I still think that what I'm most excited for regarding like this end of the year stuff are the extra press conferences that we're having this year. So the Square Enix, the Bethesda, these guys have never had their own shows before. And the fact that they're having their own shows tells me that we're in for some really, really big stuff. I would be almost surprised if we didn't see or hear from Fallout 4. So, and that's one thing. I don't know if that's going to come out this year or whatever, but I think that any void that we feel from the console manufacturers is going to be filled by these additional press conferences. So,
well, and I'm sure somebody will announce Half-Life 3.
Yeah, right. That's not going to happen.
No. What I want Square Enix to do is just come out and go, we are holding this press conference just to announce Dragon Quest VII in English.
For Dear Ron, the press conference is going to start. Dear Ron Duel, we have heard your requests. We are translating Dragon Quest VII to English.
It could be, man.
I think Ron could expend less effort just learning Japanese than requesting that Square Enix translates this one single game. If you don't get the joke, a Square Enix article can't run through our site without Ron, and Ron's not going to listen to this. He's not going to see this. Ron always inserts a Dragon Quest VII joke. So if you see some article by Ron about Square Enix, click into it and read it and leave him a comment. Just say it's not going to happen, Ron. Stop asking.
It's become joys of my own private game of how many times per week Ron will bring up Dragon Quest VII in English.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great time. But so we've got a lot of questions here. I think one that we have to get to before we get to some of the others, because this one kind of Kevin Butler, that was the PlayStation guy's name. Thank you, Sachin.
Yeah. Cool.
Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, it's from Sachin Bahal. And why do you guys like Red Dead Redemption so much?
Why don't you like Red Dead Redemption at all? Oh, man. I'll take it, I guess. Because I think that we like Red Dead for very similar reasons.
I think so.
Sean and I are both film nerds. And a lot of that is just like cinema is like kind of an aesthetic thing. And I think that you hear the word cinematic a lot when people talk about games. And I know it means a lot of different stuff to a lot of different people. Cinematic gaming to me has nothing to do with frame rate or anything like that. It has to do with composition of the game itself. And Red Dead Redemption is one of the best and most cinematic games I've ever played in my entire life. It's everything from the music, the art design, the characters. I mean, everything in that game is pitch perfect. There really aren't. I mean, sure, there was some glitches, but like, even those added to the charm of the game itself. There are very few games that I wish I could erase from my memory and play again from scratch, and Red Dead is one of them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I am not, with the exception of very few Westerns, I'm not a Westerns guy. And I went into Red Dead with a lot of trepidation. I was like, I picked it up super cheap. I was like, what the heck? I'll give it a try. I was hooked so fast.
I remember you hadn't beaten it, and this was like when I first started working here, and I was like, Sean, just beat the game. Just go play the game. And you were like, I don't know. And then like, I just remember there was a couple days where you messaged me and you were like, oh my God, I am so into this. Like, I don't know.
I've never been sadder to reach the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then it keeps going, which I think is awesome too. And it's a little bit of a letdown because Jack is kind of annoying, but
just like you taught me, Pa.
Just like you taught me, Pa. Yeah, exactly. It's such a good game. If you haven't played it yet, man, you can get it for stupid cheap. They're never going to port it over to the PC. People talk about that a lot. It's just not going to happen. You should get it because it holds up. I played it 3 months ago. I played through it again 3 months ago, and it holds up really well. So.
Oh, I didn't know you just played through it again. Oh, I'm so tempted to sit down and do it again.
It holds up, and you know what? I played it right on the heels of playing something on the PlayStation 4 that was open world. I can't remember. And I was like, Red Dead looks better. Like, what? Why is it that Red Dead looks better than this? It doesn't make any sense. It's like 5 years old.
That's the thing. Red Dead is also, I mean, for the time, and even now, it is still a beautiful game.
How many times did you just, like, sun was setting, and so you just stopped?
Oh, constantly.
Watched, listened to the music, and then just kept going, like, happened all the time.
I remember I got I started playing it on a 42-inch television, and while I was playing it, we got a 55-inch television. And I just happened one time I was riding at night from the farm to the town. Yes, I even remember where I was. I happened to look down. I could not believe there were horse prints in the dirt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was like, that is so awesome that it is the most textured, real world feeling game I have ever played. And
yeah.
Oh, now that I've finally cut the cord, and the TV won't be commandeered so much. I'm gonna have to.
Red Dead again, man.
Yeah. Oh, well, that leads to Such and Behal's next question. I wanted to get that out of the way. If Rockstar does announce another Red Dead game, what do you think it will be called, and what are you hoping to get out of it? Joey and I were just discussing 48 hours ago different scenarios of what it could be called, what the storyline would be. I've always thought it's going to be Red Dead Revenge.
Makes sense. I think that so much of Red Dead Redemption was about the West dying. Basically, it was the death of the Wild West. That was the story in that game. And I think Red Dead Revenge kind of makes sense. I mean, you have Jack already built into the narrative, and maybe he could take revenge on the law that killed his father. Though there was the actual end of the game. I don't know if you actually got to that, where you find the man.
Yeah, at the river bed.
Yeah, at the stream, and you just shoot him and whatever. I think that Jack could probably even take more revenge. I'd like to see something like Red Dead Revival. That maybe you play someone trying to start a new game or a new gang and reclaim the Wild West in a town or something. Maybe it would be really awesome to bring lawlessness to a town.
Yeah,
kind of cool.
Yeah, because I tried to play John very, very lawful, because I wanted him to redeem himself.
Yeah, I think that here's what I would like to see. We've both seen Deadwood. I know we both love Deadwood.
Oh, yeah.
Al Swearingen in Deadwood was the boss of the town. It was a lawless town, but Swearingen was kind of this evil empire type of person. And when the new sheriff moves in, it's all about their story against one another. I would love to see a Red Dead Revival where that takes a lot of leanings from Deadwood. And so maybe you'll have a town that is lawless but is in control by a real renegade jerk. And so your job is to ride in with a new gang. And so yes, it's lawlessness, but it's the type of good lawlessness that we liked about John Marston so much. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example because Swearingen, as much as he was evil, he also wanted Deadwood to be more.
Right, with its hoople heads.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched Deadwood and you have a stomach for foul language, it's actually a pretty awesome show.
Deadwood is one of the few shows I have watched all the way through multiple times.
Yeah, I finished it. I got my wife to watch it, and I was like, Megan, you should try this. She started it up, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll sit right back down and do it again. Here we go.
Oh, that was such an amazing show.
Yeah.
I guess I like Westerns more than I thought because I also love all the Eastwood spaghetti Westerns.
They're good.
Yeah, the Man with No Name trilogy is so good. But so you're going into E3. What is it that you personally are hoping to see outside of Red Dead Redemption? Is there anything that you're just like, man, I hope X is there?
Well, I did that article about like games that would kind of take me by complete surprise, which I guess is sort of not fair because I've already labeled them as the games that would surprise me, so they're no longer going to be surprises. I don't know. I really want to see. I think I'm cautiously optimistic about Microsoft this year because Phil Spencer has been promising a lot of things. He's been promising this is going to be a really big return to gamers. If I look at the Xbox that was helmed by Don Matrick a couple of years ago, which was basically the TV machine that also played games, and the one that Phil Spencer has been piloting right now, I'm really excited about what's on the docket for the Xbox One. I think that Spencer, if he can live up to his personality, this could be one of their best E3s, and I'm really hopeful that it is. I'm hopeful for the Wii U too. I know that Zelda was delayed out of 2015, which was kind of a bummer, and it looks like a fantastic game. But I'm sure they're going to bring something for that. I'm also sure that they're going to bring something for Star Fox as well. I feel like Sony is they're one or two exclusives from easily having the best open to this generation. I mean, they already got the sales and everything like that, but I'm still not convinced it's a console you must own, at least not yet. So I'm hopeful that they'll trot out some new IPs that kind of blow our minds. Or, the new Uncharted is set to do big things too. So
a very interesting question here from Christopher Miles. Do any of Sony or Microsoft's games, besides maybe Little Big Planet, successfully emulate Nintendo's quote family unquote fun factor, and do you think they need more games on the fun rather than serious side?
Okay, well, I guess to the second part of that question, yes, I do. I think that there needs to be games that are less murderous, quite frankly. I personally would like to see a Banjo-Kazooie revival, and on the PlayStation front, I'd love to see something like Jak and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank make a really big return as well. I don't know if they need to go as far into that spectrum as Nintendo is. I mean, Nintendo's always positioned itself as the family-friendly console, but at the same time, they do deliver experiences that people like you and me, Sean, enjoy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's an interesting question. As for what they have out right now, I can't think of any first-party games that really meet that demand. There's the Kinect stuff, but third-party publishers are meeting and exceeding it with stuff like Disney Infinity and Skylanders and everything else. Those are your kid-focused games, the Lego games. So I feel like for Sony and Microsoft, maybe they don't bank on that third-party support quite like Nintendo does in the way of first-party support quite like Nintendo does in the way of family-centric games. They rely on third-party support to fill that void for them. And I think it's working so far. Would I like to see less serious games from them? Yes, but I don't necessarily think it's a given.
No, I think you've got a good point there, especially with Skylanders and Infinity being essentially platform agnostic. Yes, you have to buy the one specific to your console, but it's available for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that is a good point. Why should we put our first-party dollars into it when we've got third parties making such successful?
Right, Minecraft is on everything, and except for the Wii U, oddly enough. And granted, that isn't Microsoft-owned IP now, but it wasn't when it made the jump to all those platforms. And I feel like the executives at Sony and Microsoft might think we've already got those bases covered with third-party support, so we don't need to push first-party dollars into that.
And this leads into a question from Sachin Bahal. Hey, Joey, do you like any of the games like Disney Infinity or Skylanders or any other figure-based games? And there you have a post that's coming up later today that blew my mind about how many people are aware of these.
Yeah, I think that was from Eric.
Yeah, Eric wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about this move into the figure realm?
I think that it personally, I'm not too drawn into it, and not as much as I thought I would be when I first started playing with these games. I think that there's some fun to be had with stuff like Disney Infinity and Skylanders, and I know if my son, who is like approaching 4, was actually closer to gaming age, I would probably support him if he wanted to play with these games, because they do, especially Disney Infinity, there is a really big creative backside to things. Like, he could make his own games within the games, which I'm totally down with. And it's less mindless than other things. And we have Lego about to come out with one as well. And when Lego happens, I think that the mind share for it is going to get even more ridiculous. Like, everyone's going to know about it, and I have a feeling that I don't know if any of you guys listening have a Lego store in relative proximity to your home, but if you're ever near one, there's one in the mall, maybe 15 minutes from my house, and you go in, and there are kids in the Lego stores, but then there's like old ass adults in the Lego stores too, like just like shopping, which I think is awesome. So those people, I look at this in the same way I'm looking at Legos. I think that it has a lot of cross-generational appeal, because you get the people that want to collect the figures. You get the people who buy into these things because they happen to like, and in the case of Disney, they happen to like Marvel. So Disney starts producing Marvel figures, and collectors are going to get them. I know, Sean, you're a collector.
Yep.
You know, and these figure-based games strike a really weird note that's both collection and consumption. I think there was a special on one of PBS's gaming channels about this. It's a collectible, but most of the time collectibles go unusable. Like, when you buy something to collect, the whole point of it is to like display it on a shelf, but they're also usable. So they're consumption-driven items. So I mean, I think that just the whole idea here is super smart. And Activision with their Skylanders line really is what put it all on the map. And that I don't personally buy into it, but God, they're all cash cows. As long as you tie them to franchises people like, they're going to pump out cash.
Well, to me, the most evil thing, I'm not only am I a collector, I'm a completist.
Yeah.
And so, I play some Infinity, but I cannot allow myself not to have the power discs.
That's crazy, man.
These things, to me, are the most evil, ingenious part. And
That's
notice
crazy.
that they were right at hand.
What don't those like give you like upgrades and stuff like that?
They give you upgrades or new vehicles, or they change the landscape,
Jeez.
all that sort of stuff. The figures aren't even, to me, the most evil part of the whole system. It's the discs. Because you're like, oh, well, if I had that disc, but then I got to hunt for a disc, oh, why don't I just go on eBay and buy a complete set?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. No, the discs, oh. But, yeah. This is a question I know will make Joey's head explode, from Brazen Franco. With publishers making game budgets bigger and bigger and expecting sale numbers to compensate for it, will the gaming industry ever face a crash?
I think the days of a crash are behind us. I think that sectors of the gaming industry will crash. I think we're witnessing one right now, and that's the Android-based micro console. I mean, talk about dead in the water. Every company that comes out with an Android-based micro console is basically facing zero to like very little sales. And I'm talking about stuff like the Ouya and the Amazon TV and all that other stuff. There's no drive for it. There's a lot of people on TechnoBuffalo, especially, or throughout the years, who've said things like, smartphones are replacing game consoles to me. And I think that they are replacing the need for micro consoles, but I don't necessarily think that they're replacing the need for game consoles. And I think that just the gap might close between the two platforms, but we're just talking about two very different experiences. So no, I don't think that we're going to see a mass gaming crash like we saw in the 90s and late 80s. But I think that we're going to see less and less in the way of experimental games. We're going to see even more sequels. We're going to see even more safe bets. Companies really aren't willing to take risks anymore, and that's because of the budgets. And I think that, Preston, you're right, man. It's the budgets are getting ridiculous. I can't remember the numbers right now, but Tomb Raider, the reboot, before it made the jump to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, like just that full year that it was out on the 360, PS3, and PC, it sold what we would think was well, right? Like we thought it did well, and then Square Enix came out and said that thanks to the budget, the sales numbers were disappointing. That's not going to go away. That problem is going to persist. And unfortunately for us, it just means that we're going to get less and less in the way of creative games. But that's where the indie stuff steps up. That's where Nintendo steps up. Luckily, Nintendo sort of sees that, and they just say, well, we don't care. We're playing the long game here, so that's fine. So it's fine. I'm cool with the big budget games, but I also need my indie stuff too. So,
you mentioned how people are saying that phones are killing off, this and that, and the thing I hear the most is it's killing off portable gaming. But I would beg to differ. I mean, whenever I fly, I tend to fly through Dallas-Fort Worth Airport a lot, like way too much. And from the time I get off my plane, get to the SkyTram, and get to the station at the next one, I'll have 10 street passes on my 3DS. I'll run through those real quick. By the time I get to my gate, I'll have 10 more.
Yeah.
And by the time I get on the plane, I'll have 3 to 4 more.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I've missed people because when you hit the 10, you can't get any more.
Yeah.
Now you could say like at Comic-Con last year, I couldn't go through them fast enough. I was picking up something.
To be expected, really.
Yeah, but when you're speaking about someplace like Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, that is not a
gaming hotspot.
although there is somebody that works there that I street pass him every single time I'm in the airport.
Awesome.
I've kind of narrowed it down to where he works, but every time I'm in that airport, I street pass him.
It's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, that to me alone, that it's anecdotal evidence, but it happens in every airport I'm in.
Yeah.
Even when I go to Disneyland, I take it with me, and I'll street pass tons.
Right.
There. Comic-Con, fine, I understand. But to say that mobile gaming is dying off, I think, is ignoring the fact that I wouldn't street pass that many people in an airport if it was dying off.
I agree.
And I'm not quite sure why everyone keeps saying, oh, well, everything has to kill something. I've never understood that. And I think that's going on in gaming as well right now. Smartphones are going to kill off gaming. No, it's not. I don't get it, but we shall see. Although, I mean, the idea of Konami going almost exclusively mobile is a frightening one to me.
Well, what's so I mean, it sucks, but what's so frightening about it? What are we missing?
That's true.
Konami's not quite the publisher they were 10 years ago. I mean, a lot of their IP have sort of dried up. Not to say bad things about Metal Gear, because I love that franchise, but, Castlevania is not what it once was. A lot of their horror games are not what they once were. So, it sucks that they're going mobile. I hope it's not a sign of things to come, but Konami has so much money in other departments. I mean, their Pachinko division brought in so much revenue last year. It's scary.
I will never understand Pachinko.
You're not an addicted Japanese person, so
I've gone in Pachinko parlors when I've been over there. I'm just like, I don't get this.
It's so loud.
Oh, it's so incredibly loud. From Christopher Miles, do you think Disney would give EA the green light for a Star Wars game along the lines of the tragically canceled 1313, given the war is dark tone of Star Wars Rogue, which is actually Star Wars Rogue One, for anyone that's curious what we're discussing?
I hope 1313 is not dead. That was one of the most surprising things I'd seen a couple of E3s ago. Maybe it was even 3 years ago. It just looks so good. I know that they were going to shop it around. There was an update about a year or two ago where they were going to shop it around and see what was going to happen with it. And I think that there was a lot of tech there that Disney would be sort of wasting if they didn't at least look into the potential of it. I don't think that Disney's fear is the darkness of it. I think that they're totally fine with that. I think that they're more concerned with will it sell, and the Star Wars franchise has always been very iffy in the gaming space, and it seems like Disney right now is only willing to do sure things with the license.
I think iffy is being kind when it comes to the Star Wars gaming history.
Yeah. It has had some awesome games, and then it has had some games that were kind of pretty much terrible. It depends. I don't know. I think that it's totally possible. Possible. Not probable, but possible.
Yeah, I hear you there. From Brazen Franco, do you think games will still release broken this year? Starting to avoid every that releases more than 3 ads slapped on every popular website and TV channels. I can see where he's coming from.
If I was a standard consumer, and when I am a consumer for video games, I do not pre-order, and you should not pre-order. Don't do it. Just don't do it. It's stupid. It is a waste of your money, and it is a waste of your time. Just wait. That said, are games going to still be broken? Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. The only publisher out there that's really delivering consistently not broken games is Nintendo, but you can't. One cannot live on Nintendo alone.
Now, see, I've adopted the no more pre-ordering thing, except for Arkham City. I'm sorry, I've already pre-ordered.
Look, I love Batman. Yeah. You know I love Batman, okay? I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, WB.
Harley Quinn DLC.
I'll get it on the Game of the Year edition if I really need it. It's just not going to happen, man. I'm going to wait. Hello.
I forgot to unplug my phone. So, yeah, in general, I agree with you, Joey. It is a dice roll anymore, and I'm definitely 95% off of the pre-order wagon.
Just stop.
Yeah. I even remember before I wrote for TechnoBuffalo, I remember when Red Dead was being solicited, and there were all these pre-order bonuses, and in that particular case, that was a situation where, it said, oh, you could get a better horse or you could get a better gun, and I was like, you have no idea what these things are going to do in the game if they're actually important.
Right.
Is the speed of a horse actually going to make that much difference?
It didn't.
It didn't. I mean, it was nice, but it didn't make that big of a difference.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely a roll of the dice, and it's not always a good one. From Christopher Miles, how do you think a post-Kojima Metal Gear would look?
Well, I don't know. How's that for an answer? I don't know. Not to knock Kojima here, but maybe less convoluted. The man likes his complex storylines, and I think that that's putting it lightly. How many times have we sat through a Metal Gear cutscene and just kind of went, what? Yeah. Like, what are you doing right now? And I love it because I like Metal Gear, but I don't love Metal Gear like other people. When you start getting into the discussion Solid Snake, Liquid Snake, Big Boss, I'm just you're kind of starting to lose me here. I'm okay with it. And then you start talking about all the different syndicates and all the groups that are involved and Fox versus XOF and just so no, I don't know if it's going to be as good of a Metal Gear, but it'll certainly be less convoluted, which might not be a good thing. I know that some fans like their Metal Gears really complex because it's a lot more to pour into, and Kojima has a pretty good history of making that all rewarding and worth your time. He's going to be missed, and I guarantee that if he goes out and kickstarts a game as soon as Metal Gear is done and out the door, it's going to be crazy.
I think he's going to get into developing licensed properties like Strawberry Shortcake.
I really hope that him and Del Toro make their own horror game that's very similar to what Hills was going to be, or PT or whatever. I think that's going to be awesome.
That, to me, is the bizarrest part of this whole story.
Which part is that?
The fact that not only did they cancel Silent Hills, they basically want to make it like that demo never existed.
Yeah, Del Toro called it their scorched earth approach.
Yeah, and he's 100% right.
It's like they're like salting crops is what they're doing.
It's
just stupid. I don't think, but you know what? Like, I've talked to friends about this, and everyone's like, "Oh, F Konami," like they don't care, and I'm just like, no. Konami, probably the people making this decision are not on Twitter. Like, they don't care. They're looking at their portfolio of. I don't know if you know this about Konami, but they have gyms. Like in Japan, you walk down the street and there's like a Konami gym. They have real estate offices, like they sell houses and commercial real estate, and then pachinko parlors. Video games, unless they're on the mobile front, just really aren't making them as much money as everything else, and they're not going to care. Like, it sucks for us that Silent Hills is getting canceled and that Metal Gear, The Phantom Pain might be the last like huge console hit in the series, but I don't think that the people of Konami just really care at all. It's just not. It's not even a blip on their radar.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. Oh, shoot. I hate when the questions jump away just as I'm going to click on them because somebody voted on something. As soon as I find the person's name again, I'll go ahead and ask the question. Do you think Nintendo NX is going to be a home console?
Yeah, I've read the prevailing theories that it's going to be this weird mobile home console portable mashup thing. It's impossible to say. I know that Nintendo is working with that company that they partnered with. Jeez, what's their name? It like has a lowercase in it somewhere.
Yeah, it's a very odd name.
It's escaping me right now. I'd look, but I don't want you guys to hear me thunder type my way through a Google browser. Dena, D-N-A, D-E-N-A, D-N-A.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that they're working with them for their online infrastructure. I know that they're trying to tie the accounts between like their mobile and portable and home gaming experience. They're not going to talk about it at E3. They said that the soonest that we'll hear about it is in 2016. That said, I know that we're going to have some leaks. Do I think it will be a home console? Yes. Nintendo is going to stick with the television. They're not going to get away from it. They showed us with the Wii U that they're ready to relinquish the TV from time to time with gamepad play, but you're still going to be able to play on your TV. So I think it is going to be a home console in that sense. Maybe it'll NFC connect and you'll be able to take it on the go with its little screen, and then you'll be able to get it home and set it down on top of a base unit and get it into the TV. That might be cool, but I don't really know.
Well, and that question came from Brazen Franco. I finally found it. From iNictorious. Excited for Windows 10 integration with Xbox One. Do you think Cortana will be included in the mix, whether it is through Smart Glass or on the console itself? Linking with this, will Edge replace Internet Explorer on Xbox and possible removal of Bing? Well, there's no way they're going to remove Bing.
No, it's too much money into that.
Yeah. Way too much money.
If we assume that Microsoft's going to continue the trend that they've had with PC and mobile and that everything is going to be more unified, I think that, yes, Cortana will probably be on the Xbox One. It seems to me that Microsoft has taken a really big cue from what Apple's done with their marketplace and their like ecosystem. Like, once you're on an Apple device, like, this is not me saying it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm just saying that what they want consumers to think. Oh, I own an iPad, so the iPhone is a much easier transition for me. I think that Microsoft probably wants that same mentality in line with their devices. That said, you want everything across all platforms to be feature compatible. And that means that if Cortana's on, I'm average Joe consumer. This is a Microsoft product. Cortana's on my Surface. Cortana's on my Windows Phone. Why don't I have Cortana on my Xbox One?
Yeah.
Right. So it'll be there. It has to. I mean, it just makes sense, the direction that they're pointing towards. So all unification is going to match up on everything. And so to answer that question about Edge, yeah, I think Edge is going to push it out as well. So
Very interesting question here from Christopher Miles. Do you think Sony will try to push the Vita beyond the JRPG and indie gaming machine it's grown to become, or will it embrace the console's current niche? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean that seriously. I'm someone who adopted the PlayStation Vita right away. I still like it for what it is. I also wanted to like it for what I thought it was going to be. I thought that Uncharted was really promising. It was kind of a mess of a game, but it was still promising. And then we had Gravity Rush as well, which I think was Gravity Days in Europe. That's a good question. I don't know. I think about it a lot too. I don't know what their plan is for the Vita, and sometimes it seems like they've abandoned it almost. Sometimes there are days and weeks where I'm like, why isn't Sony pushing this machine? Like it's a really good portable. It had some missteps that have really hurt it. I think part of that is the memory card expense. People are looking at the cost of the PS Vita, and the memory cards got in the way. Well, okay, so now the memory cards are still the same price that they were at launch, and the games that are coming out for it just aren't attractive to everyday users. I love my PS Vita, and I racked up like 120 hours in the Persona 4 Golden and was really happy with that. And that's after I played it once through on the PS2. So it's hitting all the right notes for me, but I'm not your average consumer, I don't think. So, gosh, I hope they do something about it, Christopher, but I'm not sure what that'll be.
Yeah, for me, I do own a Vita and I own a 3DS, but like for when I travel, I don't even ponder the Vita, and a lot of it is because of the 3DS's clamshell design. I know that the buttons are protected, the screen is protected, and I know that's not really what was being asked here, but I do find that I don't gravitate as much towards the Vita because of possibility of damage, I think.
See, on the flip side of that, this makes me sound like a terrible electronics user, but I tossed the PS Vita and my 3DS in the same bag with no padding, and I just don't worry about it. And I don't even have a single scratch on my PS Vita. So but I think it was built with that in mind. Like it's a tough device. Should you take keys to it? Probably not.
I was just going to pick up my keys and go do that.
Just do that, yeah. Right. Obviously.
Because you just told me how tough it is, so I have to test this.
If you have the space and you have games to play, I wouldn't let portability get in your way because it can take a beating inside a bag. It's fine.
And this will probably be the last question of the day from Sachin Bahal. What kind of games do each of you guys like? I've been that question's been here since the show started. I've been thinking on it. I personally don't have specific genres.
Well, I play everything.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. From platformers to shmumps to.
What is shmumps? Are those like the mumps? But
that's how I say it. I don't.
Shmups.
Whatever.
Shmumps.
Bullet hell.
God. Mom, I can't go to school today. I got the shmumps. It's the weirdest thing. It's terrible.
Now I remember why I wasn't sad when you stopped hosting so often.
That's fine.
But no, I'm kind of all over the board when it comes to genres.
Yeah, same here. Right now, just to give you a nice look at right now, I'm playing through Splatoon, Witcher 3. I'm replaying Mario Golf because it's like golf season here in Delaware, so that's really starting to kick off. And I'm back into Hearthstone because of the port to mobile that didn't happen too long ago. And that's pretty much every genre ever. So I'm all over the place. I think that stuff I guess maybe an unexpected genre for me. I really like sim building games, like a Sim City or something, but that's not that weird anymore. That used to be kind of weird. People used to look at me like, man, you really like city builders? And I'm like, yeah, I can sink days into those things.
Mm.
But too bad Sim City. So go get City Skylines because it's really good. And I've nerded out very hard on that one. And the fact that you have mods, oh my gosh, the mods in City Skylines are so good. Anyway, that's me. I play everything.
Yeah, I've never been able to lock down to any one type of game. I mean, going back to like the original Nintendo, you know, I might play Contra for a half hour, and then I'd play Zelda for an hour. You know, it just bounced all over the place.
Heck yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think if you get, you know, like people that lock themselves into, you know, a certain genre, they're missing out on too many great experiences.
Sure.
Because they won't open their horizons.
Sure, but I don't think there are that many people left that do just that anymore. I think if you talk to most people, they like a wide swath of games. So
yeah, I think you're right. If you walk into stores, yes, they're dominated by first-person shooters, but there's enough other stuff there.
Yeah.
To definitely get your interest. Well, I believe that is going to bring this episode to a close. As I said, we will have Joey on again after E3 to debrief, and you're going to sit there and you're going to co-host.
I'm not going to come. I'm not coming. Not doing it.
I will make you do it. Don't make me send you to your bedroom without dinner.
Dang it.
But as always, we do appreciate you joining us. You can find us on the iTunes Store by searching for the TechnoBuffalo Show, and we do appreciate if you rate and review us. That does help out the show. You can also find us on Pocket Casts. You can subscribe via RSS feed. You can listen to us on the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Anywhere there are podcasts, you can find the TechnoBuffalo Show. Until next week, I'm Sean Ani. I'm the editor-in-chief of the site. I have been joined by gaming editor Joey Davidson.
Thank you, guys.
Until next week, take it easy, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.